scallops been in the news quite a lot over the last 2 weeks over Christmas. Going back just around about Christmas, it was announced by the Isle of Man that they were going to introduce different or new licence requirements for scallop fishing in our territorial waters on the 8th of January. That was then put back and is now coming in effect this Monday on the 15th. First off, could you explain exactly what we were intending to do with these changes to the licence agreements and indeed why we were doing them?
I mean, to start with the second question, why are we doing them? The Isle of Man waters have become the most intensively fished for scallop waters in the whole of the British Isles. And it got to the stage where it's simply unsustainable. So the department has been working closely with the industry and with the Scallop Board to look at some really quite practical and applied management measures which effectively mean taking less fish. So at the beginning of the season, we introduced a maximum allowable catch, a total allowable catch, and the intention of that is to make sure that we leave enough fish that they can breed and there'll be more for next year and the year after and so on. And as we started the season, we broke that down, so that meant there was a daily amount that could be taken. So that was the season started in November, and we monitor on a daily and weekly basis. And before Christmas, there was some concerns expressed by the industry and the Scallop Board that there was some evidence of misreporting. And just to explain what we mean by misreporting, effectively, there was concerns. Well, I will actually go further, and we duly looked at that. We looked at the catch records, and we got quite clear indications that there is misreporting, and that means that some boats, accidentally or intentionally, were taking more scallops from our waters than they were allowed. But then when they fished in other areas, they were probably declaring them from there. And so we could see some people were getting fantastic results in other areas that others weren't getting there. So it does really suggest they probably were taking more out of our waters than they were supposed to and then declaring it against other areas. So we'd got a situation where if we didn't act, everyone else would feel under pressure to do the same, because there's a limited pot of fish there, and if everyone else is taking more than their fair share, you either join in and get your share before it's gone, or you lose out. So we had to do something quickly, and the Fisheries Management Agreement empowers us to take emergency measures, and there's a much lower level of consultation expected around those, and effectively we bring in what we think's right, and if with hindsight it was wrong, well, we have to change that.
Now, the one issue which has been causing it seemingly a sticky point over the last few weeks is this measure being brought in now to basically say, right, if Scottish fishing boats, for example, were taking scallops out of our Manx territorial waters, they were going to have to report their catch by landing, in essence, or coming into a Manx port to report this, rather than just doing it electronically. That has now been amended, so the measure coming in on the 15th, this coming Monday, will now say basically if you're fishing solely in Manx waters, then you can carry on doing that. But if you've been fishing previously outside of our territorial limit, then fishing in Manx waters, you will then have to carry on and report your catch on the Isle of Man by actually coming to the Isle of Man. Now, this would appear to have certainly upset the Scottish side of things, who are saying, well, this just isn't on, and now, in essence, we're being accused of being in breach of the FMA, as I see it.
That's a good analysis, Howard, yes. But I mean, it's important to acknowledge that there's a whole range of different countries fishing in the waters, and I think all of them have got concerns because, of course, this does impact on their business. That's not why we're doing it. Obviously, we're doing it to control the fishing because we need to make sure there are fish left for the future. And we've put a lot of effort into trying to identify different ways of doing this, but fundamentally we have to find a way of making sure people don't take more than their fair of fish, or there will be none left before the end of the season, never mind next year and future years. So we have tried to find an amendment from the original proposals that would make it less intrusive for those operating here. And given that the issue is about a situation where people have fished in two different areas, then obviously if they've only fished in our waters, we don't want to cause them to come into our ports. So it's trying to find an easier solution, especially for those boats fishing at the north end of the island, where actually they're as close to their home ports quite often as they are to ours. But about 85% of the effort is the south and the middle of the island, where quite frankly they're going past the port anyway, but I appreciate it's still an intrusion to have to come in.